what is faith? You probably asked yourself that question, and you've probably heard a lot of other people ask it as well. You can go to the Word, but sometimes reading the Word, it seems even more confusing than it did before we read it. For example, there's a verse in the Bible, and it says, without faith, it's impossible to please God. So, I mean, we have to have it. And then that verse goes on to say, well, you have to believe that God exists and that he rewards people that diligently seek him with all their heart. And you're thinking, well, I look around, I don't see God. I'm not sure I'm supposed to believe in him and I'm supposed to trust in him. And I just don't understand how that works. And then there's another verse, and it talks, and it says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things that aren't seen. And you might be thinking, well, if it's a substance, I should be able to grab hold of it. And there's nothing around here that I can grab hold of, and I don't see God. And I'm supposed to have faith. And if I don't have faith, well, it's impossible to please him. So where does that leave me? What am I supposed to do? How do I understand this concept? Well, let me give you a quick example. Most of you have ordered something from the internet. Okay. And if you haven't ordered something from the internet, you at least know how it works. Okay. What's the very first thing that you do? Well, you have to make a decision. There's something that you want. Okay. And let's say maybe you want a TV. Let's say maybe it's a new phone. Or let's say it could be something like an Xbox or just something simple like a hoodie. Well, whatever it is that you need, you have to make a decision. First of all, this is something that I'm going to go look for. This is something I'm going to search for online. So you go ahead and you do your searches and that kind of thing. And you probably find all kinds of deals that are all over the place. But see, what you're really looking for, okay, when you order something over the internet, what you're really looking for is a very reputable seller that is going to give you a good product and give you what you're looking for and not try to scam you. So basically, we're looking for a 5-star seller. Okay, so you've got to do your search. You got to decide what you want. Then you got to do your search and do your homework and find out, yeah, this is a 5-star seller, and I'm going to take the product and I'm going to order the product from them. So when you're believing God for something, it's like ordering something over the internet. You're going to God because he is a 5-star seller. Okay, if you don't believe it, believe what I'm saying. I've ordered from him. He is a 5-star seller. There's a lot of people out there that are putting out content and they're saying, yes, trust God. He's a 5-star seller. So that's what you're looking for. So when you're reaching out to God in faith, it's not some of this weird stuff like, you're trying to figure out what those Bible verses mean. Basically, you're saying, okay, I believe God exists. Just like when you order something over the internet, you believe that that's a real company that you're ordering from. You believe, it's not some fake something that somebody just put a picture on the internet. It's actually a real company. And if they got a 5-star rating and they've got lots of comments about people that say, yeah, I ordered this and it came really fast and, the order was good. It was exactly what I was looking for. That's the kind of thing that you're looking for. So you have people like me and you have other people and they're saying, yes, you can trust God. You can believe him because what he says is true. And if you're experiencing problems, well, it's because you bought from sellers that are not reputable. People that if you could give them a 0 in the 5 stars, that's what you'd give them. And, you may have had terrible things, and I'm not trying to make light, but I mean, people may have died. You may have lost people. You may have had abuse in your background. You may have had terrible things that have happened, terrible losses. And terrible things, and people have done terrible things to you that made you feel so terrible. Okay. But the reason you had that is not because of God. So don't blame God. God's a 5-star seller. He gives you good stuff. Okay. But you or somebody ordered from a seller. You bought something that just wasn't true. And it came into your life, and then you have all this pain as a result of it. God isn't like that. God gives you the good things. But see, you say, well, I had something and I prayed. Well, but did you approach God? Did you go to the seller with the things that he tells you to come to him with? I mean, first of all, he loves you unconditionally. And then secondly, he's forgiven you completely. That means that you don't have negative emotions like shame, guilt, regret, or condemnation, and you don't allow yourself to think about those things. You see, because when you allow yourself to feel bad about yourself, what you're doing is you're putting in an order and you're buying from a seller that is not reputable. God is a true seller. He says, I love you unconditionally. It's not about what you do, it's about what I've done for you. I've completely forgiven you. And you don't have to think about these negative emotions anymore. You don't have to keep condemning yourself. You don't have to keep being down on yourself. You can go and have the good things in life. You can be happy as opposed to being sad. But the problem is, a lot of times what we do in our lives is we keep thinking about the negative and all of the things about us that are imperfect instead of wanting to get the good in life. Okay? Because if you keep thinking about the negative and you keep putting it in and putting it in and thinking about it and thinking about it, the negative's all you're going to get. So if you have negative in your life, what you need to do is start thinking about the positive, the good things. And the way that you think about that is to start with the idea that God loves you unconditionally and God has forgiven you completely. And you are not to sit and think about all those negative things anymore. You think about the positive things, about how God is with you and that he's never going to leave you. And that even though you've had bad things happen in the past, that's because you bought the lie from the wrong seller. It's not God that did this to you or did this to people that you know or people in your family. That was not God. Those decisions were made because they were bought from a bad seller, from somebody who wasn't reputable, somebody that was not selling you the truth. And just like that internet order, that stuff is going to come into your life. And just when you have faith in God, you make the order, and it's not something that your five physical senses are doing. You're believing this, you're trusting that that seller is going to come through. Well, that's the way it is with God. When you say and pray and say, God, I want to experience your love, I want to experience your forgiveness, I want to be free from all these negative emotions. Well, it's not like God shows up in the room, just like a package isn't going to show up at your door if you order it from the internet. It's going to take some time, and you have to stick with it. You don't go in and just say, well, I'm going to cancel my order. God, I asked you to help me and you didn't. Well, God's put the order in, it's on the way, and you just have to be just confident about him and trust in him. That's what you have to do. You really have to trust in God. What is faith and how do you have faith in God? You have to trust him just like you would trust ordering something over the internet. You have to believe God is a good God and that he's going to do what he says he's going to do. He's a 5-star seller. When you order something over the internet, you go to a reputable person who's selling something, and you have to believe that God exists and he's good to his word. He rewards people that seek him out with all their heart. Now, how do you fill up your heart? You put the right stuff in. You don't put in the negative things. Well, what are the positive things that you need to do? You need to go to God and see what he said about you. So in order to have faith, you have to come to God with those things. He says he loves you unconditionally, regardless of what you've heard other people say or regardless of what you put into your own mind. You have to believe that he has forgiven you completely, and that means you're not going to allow yourself to sit around and think about shame, guilt, regret, condemnation, anything that goes into your mind, because remember how your mind works. What you see is an image that you put into your mind, and it can be a single image. It can be like a videotape that you just think about all the terrible things that you've done. When you put those terrible things in, it's like a faucet that comes on, it goes down and it fills up your heart. And then your heart is what runs the show. That's what you're doing. So how do you have faith in God? You go to the good things that God has said about you. I love you unconditionally. I've forgiven you completely. I have cleansed and purified your heart. And the way you purify your heart is by continually thinking about the fact that your heart is purified with good things. So you think about, God has loved me unconditionally. He has made a way for me through Jesus Christ, and he has forgiven all my sins, and he's purifying my heart. And then choose to think of the good things in life, not the bad things. And that's a very simple example of how you trust in God, just like ordering something over the internet. And when you order it, do you see the company? No. When you pray and you believe God, do you see God? No. But you believe that that company's there and that they're going to fulfill the order and they're going to put your package in the mail and that that package is going to show up. That's the kind of thing, that's the kind of faith, that's the kind of trust that you have to have in God. And that's basically just as simple as you would trust a seller on the internet who has a 5-star rating to put that package in the mail and send it to you. That's what you believe about God, your creator, that when you pray to him, he is going to put that package in the mail and you are going to receive it. The only thing you have to do is just not give up and hang in there. So hang in there, live your best life.